Hello, everyone, and welcome to CAMEO's regular third Thursday webinar. It seems to be one of the only thing that's been semi-regular. We did actually have be able to schedule this on a Thursday. If you joined us last month, we had Sanjana Seth from PCV give us a little bit of preview on our first ever listening session from the COVID 19 sessions. And we're now trying to get somewhat back into some semblance of normal programming, although I think normal is still a long way to come. I'm Heidi Pickman. I'm the VP of Programs and Policy at CAMEO. I want to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. Just to give you a little bit of Zoom tips, just in case, actually just to let you know, everyone's audio is muted. I want to tell you where the chat box is. You do not have a mic on at the moment, but if you take your screen cursor down to the bottom of the screen, you should see a chat box and you can type questions and hello there. In fact, I'll have everybody introduce themselves in chat. If you want to type your name and your organization as we're just getting started here. We will record this webinar and you're free to share. We'll send everybody a registration link to as soon as we can. It'll be on our website. There might be a slight delay only because we have somebody not feeling well today who helps us out with that. So we'll get it to you as soon as we can. And we'll try and get you the slides out as quick as possible. Just want to let everybody know what's happening at CAMEO. We are trying to respond to the COVID crisis as much as we can and give you information and pass along information. Tomorrow we're holding a listening session at noon. We're going to give a payroll protection program update, what kind of the policy, what happens now that the money seems to be no longer there, what are efforts to increase that money, and what should the self-employed and unemployed do. So we're going to go over some of those things tomorrow and just also hear what you're hearing on the streets. Next week is Earth Day. Thought we'd do a little bit of kind of how this crisis has evolved and what some of the CDFIs are doing and what could be done, and also talk about some access to capital options for your clients. And then on Thursday, we'll talk about employment issues and unemployment issues. We have an HR person and talk about what's available at the EDD, at Employment Development Department, some of the resources there. The following week, we're going to have Susan Brown chime in with how to do profit and loss statements. Kind of an important thing to do for your clients as they are trying to apply for loans. And then a month from this Thursday, or for the third Thursday in May, we are going to continue on with our advocacy webinar in the hopes that it's possible that our advocacy day on June 9th might still take place. But so just looking out in the future, trying to keep some plans out, but we're not sure if that's going to happen. So that last piece might be a TBD. I'd also like to let everybody know all our past COVID response webinars are on our website. You can get to that from our homepage, and I'll also pop some of these links into chat as we get going here. Today, I'm excited to welcome Sanjana Seth. She's a social impact analyst at Pacific Community Ventures, and David Wada, also a social impact analyst at Pacific Community Ventures. PCV is a CAMEO member. So we're really excited about their work they're doing about good jobs. And I wanted to just read to you an email I got from, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. An email I got from an organization that does a lot of rural development, but it struck me as something that holds true for why we might want to talk about good jobs now. And so I'm just going to read it because I thought it summed it up really well. Over the past month, our conversations surrounding the pandemic and entrepreneurs have led us to believe there are some common threads to those businesses that will survive and thrive beyond the pandemic. They were some of the quickest to recognize the potential impact and begin strategizing adaptations. They are flexible, forward-looking, and see opportunity and challenges. They are focused on the well-being of their employees and partners, and they see value in collaborating on solutions and supporting competitors, even in a time of need. In short, they coined this phrase, the thrivers. I kind of like that. Thrivers are the folks who are rooted in community and working toward the good of the whole and will take away lessons from what can be done better in the future. Once we move into pandemic and recession recovery, growing community-centered entrepreneurial ecosystems will be more important than ever. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Sanjana, who will start to share her screen. And I'm going to take myself off video so it's not distracting. Sanjana, take it away.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction. Let me just share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
We can.
Great. Okay. Great. So thank you so much for joining us today for this webinar to really learn more about the work that we do here at Pacific Community Ventures on job quality, especially as Heidi mentioned, given the current context of the crisis that we're in today. Before we get started, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself and then my colleague Daniel as well. So my name is Sanjana, and I'm an analyst on Pacific Community Ventures research and consulting team, which was the team that was behind the creation of the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit that we'll be talking about today, and its implementation with small business owners across the country. And I'm excited to walk you through both the toolkit and our program today, and to see and just discuss how we're seeing the conversation around job quality with the small businesses that we work with.
Great, thank you, Sanjana. Hi, my name is Daniel Wada, and I'm a client relations manager on PCV's business advising team. And here at Business Advising, we really strive to match our business owners with pro bono advisors that has the most fitting skills and experience needed to help their business owners create solutions towards their business challenges. And my role is to provide ongoing support for both advisors and small business owners to ensure that satisfaction levels remain high and progress is being made.
Great, and just a little bit of housekeeping. I know Heidi had mentioned if you have any questions, just feel free to type it into the Q&A box at any time during the webinar. We have a few pauses throughout, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. And we'll also, be answering questions at the end of the webinar as well. So before diving into the agenda and the content, we just want to take a moment to acknowledge the crisis that we're in, both as a public health emergency and as an economic crisis that's hitting our most vulnerable populations the hardest. So at PCV, we're keenly aware of the fact that businesses are closing for weeks or months at a time, and those who haven't closed are seeing major hits to their bottom line. It's hitting both businesses and hurting the workers who most rely on those paychecks. According to a statistic from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 40% of Americans who work service-related or service industry-related jobs have no paid sick leave, and fewer than 1/4 of them can afford to take that. These are also the jobs, in retail, housekeeping, food, entertainment, et cetera, that are most likely to put these workers at broad contact with others. So protecting employee health is not only important for these businesses in the long term, but also for community health now. And we also recognize that small business owners are now, more than ever trying to balance these competing demands of managing their cash flow and finances, as well as wanting to, do better by their employees and take care of their employee health and well-being. So with that in mind, we understand that the conversation around job quality looks different in this crisis response mode. businesses are dealing with the immediate realities of trying to keep their business afloat. But we also, think it's important, as Heidi mentioned, to highlight the importance of high quality jobs in weathering the crisis as well as rebuilding from the crisis. For example, in this immediate crisis response mode, we have heard from various partners that providing things such as appropriate and quick communication and guidelines to employees has been really critical, which is an important aspect of job quality, essentially showing workers that employers do care about them, their health, and their well-being. And this is also highlighting some of the gaps around job quality as we're seeing as it pertains to things such as benefits and paid leaves for essential workers. So in that vein, this presentation will be geared towards job quality for small businesses overall and our toolkit overall, and we'll do our best to really highlight employee health and well-being throughout the presentation. In terms of the agenda, we'll be walking through sort of 4 main topic areas, just a quick overview of PCV and how we became interested in the job quality practice, as well as how we created the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit, as well as a quick demo of the toolkit itself. Then I'll hand it over to Daniel to actually dive in deeper into some success stories of small business owners who have actually implemented the Good Jobs, Good Business Toolkit and the outcomes that they've seen from the implementation, as well as a little bit more about our program of advisors that are paired with small business owners to help them walk through the toolkit itself, as well as just general best practices that we've seen in these type of engagements. So as context, PCV, we are a nonprofit CDFI. We're providing capital to low to moderate income communities. We provide loans to small business owners in California. We also have a national pro bono business advising program, and we also have a research and consulting team that does impact measurement and management consulting as well as research. So through our Good Jobs agenda, we really seek to help small business owners and the organizations that support them strengthen the quality of jobs that they're providing for themselves and their employees while boosting their bottom line as a business. So, as you may know, the U.S. was seeing historically low unemployment in the past several years, a figure that is rapidly changing as a result of COVID-19. However, many of the jobs that, were created were low-wage jobs and were not providing employees with the opportunity for advancement, which includes things such as increasing wages, living wages, expanding career prospects, and providing stable benefits and training opportunities within the organization. We also saw that, business in the United States was overwhelmingly small businesses. So there were about 5.6 million small business owners across the country. And these small businesses are really an incredible engine of job creation in the United States. So over the years, as we were examining the trends of income inequality, job creation, and business growth, we saw a potential for small businesses to be better equipped with tools, resources, and investment to be empowered as leaders themselves in creating higher quality jobs for themselves and their employees. And this goal is still as important as ever as the realities have shifted with COVID. We just have a few statistics here, and some of these might already be outdated, but I tried to update them, at the extent I could. So we've seen about 22 million workers who have filed for unemployment insurance in the past 4 weeks. We know that we have a statistic from the restaurant industry alone, which we know that has been greatly impacted by the crisis. So since March 1st, over 3 million jobs and $25 million in sales have been lost, and I'm sure this number is greater today as well. So this data that I've just briefly outlined, as well as the fact that many of the essential workers that are still working today don't have the job quality attributes necessary, this really pushes us at PCV to continue to support small business owners through the immediate business impacts of this crisis while really helping them maintain employee health and well-being.
Sanjana, there's a question in the chat, whether or
Yeah.
not PCV offers loans to ITIN holders.
So PCV, we do offer loans to small businesses who have at least one full-time or part-time employee.
So that what about ITIN holders?
For contractors, we require that there's at least one. Essentially, short answer is no.
Okay.
But we do go a case-by-case basis. Great. Just to continue a little bit more of our background and our work with job quality and the resources that we had created. We built this toolkit based on desk and field research, which included interviews with small business owners as well as their employees. We created the toolkit to provide small business owners with a practical how-to resource to really take the guesswork out of how they can go about improving the quality of jobs offered at their business for their employees, because we understand that small business owners are strapped for both time and resources, especially today. We also found that business advisors and mentors played a critical support system in providing guidance, experience, and expertise as small business owners really went in to try to implement different aspects of the toolkit itself. And lastly, the toolkit was built with the underlying message and structure to show small business owners that providing good jobs is not only good for their employees, but for their bottom line as well. And we really tried to outline how different aspects of job quality really do benefit the business itself. So the toolkit is structured around 6 key theme areas as listed on the screen. So employee compensation, health benefits, retirement benefits, scheduling and paid leave, professional development, and employee engagement. We structured the toolkit in this way to make it easier for the small business owners to walk through the toolkit, but also to highlight that there are many different ways to address job quality, and it really depends on where the business is at in terms of time, resources, business stage, etc. And as you'll see during the demo, each section contains either how-to or step-by-step guides, case studies, different tools, resources, benchmarks to provide the business owner with easy-to-access, comprehensive set of resources. Great. At this time, I just want to do a really quick demo of the website so you all get a better sense of what I've been talking about. Let me stop and then reshare. Great. So this is the landing page for our website, and as you can see, it's broken down into the 6 separate key theme areas that I mentioned. We tried to make this as easy as possible for small business owners to utilize. So we have a search function up here. If they're looking for specific information on a 401k, they can type that in here and be provided with those list of resources. And we also understand that sometimes small business owners aren't sure exactly which area makes the most sense for them. So we have a really quick drop-down menu here of where they might be interested in. So, I'm interested in finding the right people. If they select that, then they have some starting point of where to go in the website to get a better understanding on how to find the right people to hire. But essentially, what we try to do for every section is to have a really brief overview, of the job quality dimension, and then get into the actual business case behind that job quality dimension. And then the bulk of the content is really in the how to get started section. So this is essentially how to implement this job quality framework into your business, and different options depending on what stage you're in at your business as well. And then we also have some other options that we've listed here. Without taking too much time, I just wanted to click on a specific example of a job quality dimension just to show folks what that looks like. So under employee engagement, you land on the overview page. We have the business case. So what I mean by that is, the impact on the bottom line of investing in employee engagement, for example, has, reduced turnover. So we provide resources and information on quantifying what that looks like. So the cost to estimate, the cost to replace a retail employee is approximately $3,000. We've also, where we can, included specific tools that small business owners can use to really make this as applicable to their business as possible. So for example, a cost of turnover tool. And as I mentioned, the how to get started page is really where the bulk of the information is. And we provide a step-by-step guide on how to implement employee engagement, for example. So we have, 5 ways to engage your employees and different external resources and tools that are linked within the resource that small business owners can take a look at. We thought the employee engagement section was, extremely relevant just to highlight today in terms of what we're seeing with COVID and how specific businesses are responding to this crisis in terms of job quality. As businesses are strapped for resources, they may not be able to invest capital into some of these job quality attributes, but there's a lot you can do in employee engagement that is less capital intensive and still can provide really beneficial results for the employees and the business overall. I'm just going to share my screen one more time back to the PowerPoint. Great, and just one thing that I want to mention is that we understand that improving different aspects of job quality can often lead to potential similar benefits. So for example, raising employee compensation as well as implementing employee engagement techniques can, both, for example, see improvements in employee morale. Great, now I just want to hand this over to Daniel, who's really been able to work with small business owners directly in implementing the toolkit.
Thank you, Sanjana. Yeah, so as Sanjana was saying, we're actually going to discuss some case studies of small business owners who have successfully used the toolkit and worked with one of our PCV's advisors to implement job quality attributes. And so for our first story, we have a quick exercise for the audience, and we'd love your thoughts on how this business owner can solve the challenge presented with a job quality lens. So go ahead and get your thinking caps on. In this picture, this is Rodrigo, the second man to the left, and he is the owner of DNA Motor Lab, which is a minority-owned, full-service motorcycle repair shop located in Hayward, California, and he has 6 employees. Rodrigo wanted to implement processes to improve quality of life for his employees so that their work was more productive and genuine. Rodrigo also wanted customers to feel more welcomed and satisfied when coming into the store and wanted to build a sense of community. So for our discussion question, I'd like to turn it to our audience. What are some ideas on how Rodrigo could address these areas with a job quality lens? And please be sure to use the chat box to suggest your ideas. And we'll go ahead and pause here for a minute or two to let people post them, and we'll go ahead and curate them. And remember, there are no wrong answers. We just like to hear ideas. So we have one suggestion from Angela, highlighting an employee of the month and sharing a little about them with customers via a newsletter. That's a great idea. Thank you, Angela. Sonia Blake said, give employees a warm and welcoming title and put them at the front of the store with refreshments. Everyone could use some refreshments, so that's a fantastic idea. Thank you, Sonia. Catherine Marshall stated, perhaps set standards for customer service with the help of the employees. Issues such as making sure everyone is greeted professionally when they enter the store, having employees develop, this helps them create buy-in. Great. And Heidi, thank you for offering your idea as well for engagement classes taught by employees to create community. That's great. Thank you all for your suggestions and ideas. Really do appreciate it. And each one of them were fantastic. Fun event type of things. That's great. All right. Sanjana, can you go to the next slide, please? So what Rodrigo did, we matched Rodrigo with one of our trusted advisors, Ryan Rosaleski, and together they used the toolkit as a guideline to set their meeting agendas to brainstorm ways to improve Rodrigo's operations. And what they determined was that by focusing on employee retention and investing in professional development, that would benefit both DNA's employees as well as the business. So Rodrigo created a short-term goal of establishing performance development meetings to show continuous improvements, as well as celebrate victories and also build camaraderie so that the employees understand their value to DNA Motor Labs. Rodrigo also established regular staff meetings to touch base with everybody, air out any concerns, and foresee future problems on any given projects. And during weekly staff meetings, Rodrigo is able to productively highlight areas of improvement for staff members that are relevant to other staff members. And one example of this, one technician regularly left keys in bikes when he was done working on them. And at the shop, that's a no-no. It's important to put the keys back in the key box so that they don't get lost and so that others can find them. Therefore, this was an area of improvement that could be highlighted for all to remember in their weekly staff meetings. Rodrigo is committed to investing in his employees because he believes this is a part of his competitive advantage. He sees his customers as engagement, or he sees his customer service and engagement as a key differentiator, meaning that the employees he hires and how he treats them and trains them is key to his value proposition as well. Rodrigo believes that this is why so many of his customers are not only returning customers, but believe it or not, they also want to come volunteer in his shop. And that's really what makes DNA so unique. And last point on DNA Motor Labs, even employees at other shops want to come work for him at DNA Motor Labs. So that just speaks volume to how he treats his employees and the kind of atmosphere and environment that he's created. And next, I want to talk to you about another success story. And this small business owner's name is Jen Musty, and she's the owner of Batter Bakery. And Batter Bakery, what it is, it's a handcrafted baked goods retail shop located in San Francisco, California, with 2.5 locations. And the 0.5 is being a shared commercial kitchen. What Jen wanted to do was create and implement strategies aimed to increase employee engagement and professional development for their employees. Jen's goal with focusing on these areas of job quality was to ultimately increase the bottom line of the business. Employees would come to work excited to sell the product, and this would also have a domino effect on sales. So for our discussion question, what are some ideas on how Jen could address these areas with a job quality lens? Again, we love to hear your thoughts and ideas, so feel free to drop them in the chat box. Invite a master baker to do training once a month. That would be awesome. Maybe have like Bobby Flay come in. Actually, he doesn't like baking. One of the baking chefs come in and show them how it's done. I like it. Angela said orientation at hiring where employees get to taste the menu and learn about the flavors and ingredients. That's one way to really get buy-in from your employees. And if they're able to speak on how the baked goods were being made, what kind of natural and organic ingredients they use, and the taste, it really does resonate with their customers too. That's great. Suzanne said, take a survey of the employees to see what they need to better do their job and give them updates on how she will support them. Fantastic. Catherine stated, perhaps have a highlighted item for sale. Everyone ID how to talk about it and promote it. Have staff choose which item they want to promote. Celebrate if they reach a sales goal with the item. It's a fantastic idea. And Heidi said, let each employee own a baked good named after them. That would be awesome. I would love to have a cookie called Daniel Wada. That would be great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and share what Batter Bakery did to address this problem. So Jen found herself experiencing sluggish retail sales as her front of the house retail staff was often running to the back of the house to help her always busy kitchen staff. Working with her advisor, Anne Claire Broughton, Jen implemented a mini game for her staff by setting retail sales goals. With a small board up, retail sales staff were set to meet certain goals, and if they'd meet them, the rewards were small but meaningful. And for example, back in September 2019, her kitchen staff would receive a new baking tool like a whisk. And also in October, they had a team pumpkin carving party. So yeah, the many small rewards, but are very meaningful to the employees. And to support her employees in reaching these retail sales goals, Jen prepared upselling guides and taught staff how she turned an order of 2 cookies into 24 cookies, plus a pie. And by the end of the mini game period, Batter Bakery saw the second highest retail sales month to date. The process was so successful that staff asked to implement another mini game. This time, Jen and Anne Claire have set up the mini game on minimizing baking production errors and paired it with the innovative Instagram training tool to help the staff reduce waste and think green. The tool also helped provide a more functional training tool than hosting all-day training sessions for a spread out, multi-shift baking staff. And how you said the Wada Wada walnut chip. I absolutely love it. Okay, Sanjana, next slide, please. Great. So for our best practices, our business advisors are critical in helping small business owners implement job quality attributes. I wanted to spend some time today talking through the best practices and what makes a good advisor and business owner relationship. So a little about the role as a good jobs advisor. We expect the good jobs advisors to spend time with their small business owner, deciding the most effective means of communication, whether that be through email, phone call, video conference, or even in-person visits, when appropriate, of course. But for now, the engagements will be 100% remote. And good jobs advisors' roles are that of a coach, sounding board, and thought partner. And the needs of every business are different, so it'll be normal for their partnerships to have lulls, as well as times where the advisor will be more engaged on a more frequent basis with their mentee. But as a general guideline, the advisor spends around 3 to 5 hours per month with the business owner to help them develop a practical plan for using the toolkit, support them in implementing the plan, and connect to check in on progress and next steps. So all in all, we ask that they provide guidance, advice, and tactics to help their small business owner improve job quality based on their knowledge of the business, which includes the challenges, the needs, systems, and their finances. And as you know, collaboration is a key to a successful partnership, as well as setting expectations. Small business owners are often strapped for resources and time, especially given the realities of COVID-19. This partnership is structured to be long-term to account for these unexpected business priorities that may and most likely will take precedent over efforts to improve job quality at this moment. So for the time being, we ask that the advisors support their small business owners as needed with their other more pressing challenges. And if the advisor doesn't feel comfortable with advising on a particular subject, then they or the business owner can reach out to PCV and let us know, and we'll work with them to figure out how to adjust these challenges and determine the best steps moving forward.
Great. Thank you so much for walking us through that, Daniel, on the examples. Thought they were really helpful. We'd just like to take another pause now to see if folks have any questions as we've reached the end of our presentation. I do want to just clarify one thing. I went back and looked at the earlier question, so I think I had misunderstood or misheard the question that was asked. We do provide loans for I-10 holders. We will just likely need more years of personal taxes. But at this time, we're open to answer any questions about the toolkit, our job quality work, any other questions as well.
Yeah, so Sanjana, I'm going to go ahead and since we're unmute everybody slowly, unless I'm going to allow everybody to talk unless I hear you. Lots of background noise, and we can have a discussion. People can ask more questions more freely. So I am going to mute and unmute you. I'm allowing everybody to talk, but it looks like everybody's muted. So if you would like to ask a question, you can go ahead and unmute yourself, which if you bring your cursor to the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see a little mic icon. And I think I did everybody, and Catherine has her hand raised. So Catherine, why don't you go ahead and chat?
Thank you. I just had some questions about how you're funding this effort. I saw that you got funding from Reimagine Retail. Is this job creation, job development activity solely devoted to retail, or do you help other types of businesses that are trying to add jobs?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. So we did receive grant funding through the Reimagine Retail. However, we don't solely see this as a toolkit for retail businesses. We've implemented this in a variety of different organizations. So as you've seen, different restaurant or service industry organizations, even other different types of retail organizations. So it's meant to be more general than retail.
Great. Everybody's has control of their own mute button. So if you would like to, put a comment, talk, ask a question, other concern. I know this is a little bit of thinking about on recovery mode, but like I mentioned at the beginning, I think the prevailing wisdom is that if people are thinking about good jobs, thinking about their employees, that they'll be the ones who come out of this okay. And just echo Sanjana's point that a lot of people aren't in this position. Does anybody have any other resources? Catherine, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. So I was, I'm representing the Microenterprise Collaborative of Inland Southern California, and we got some grant funding to focus on quality jobs. And I'm working with the Women's Business Center to do that. And so we're designing a program that that's heavy in technical assistance and assisted by some training. It sounds like your program is, you have this wonderful toolkit that's web-based, and then it's heavy technical assistance with an advisor. Is there any trainings that you also provide with this to help employers all kind of get on the same page about some of the issues they have, or any kind of cohort groups that you work with?
Yeah, we actually do have a cohort of good jobs advisors. I can hand it over to Daniel to speak a little bit more about that, but we do provide webinars and trainings to advisors who are part of our business advising platform to get sort of geared up on the toolkit itself.
Yeah, exactly. So we provide training to a subset of our advisors. Mainly, they specialize in HR, or maybe they're entrepreneurs themselves that have created quality jobs for their own employees. And we host 2 webinars. One webinar is an overview webinar of the whole Good Jobs, Good Business program. And we also have a toolkit training webinar for these advisors so that they're able to navigate properly through the toolkit, know the different kind of sections, as well as the functionality of the website.
And just one more comment. I think what you were also getting at, Catherine, was how helpful it would be if small business owners and employers themselves could share their experiences and things like that. And that's not currently built into the online toolkit, but that is something that we've been thinking about in future iterations.
Thank you.
So there's a need, Sanjana. And Angela a while ago unmuted herself. I saw her. Were you going to ask a question, Angela?
Yeah, I was curious if you're collecting any data on like what the demographics of the businesses are that are seeking this, like if there's an average number of employees that they have when they start thinking about this, or revenues or anything like that that might come out as themes.
Yeah, so we do collect data from folks who've been participating in this program. It's a little bit dependent on the resources that the small business owner has and the time and capacity they have to provide these resources. So for example, if we're working with another partner CDFI or workforce development organization in helping them implement this toolkit with the small business owner, it's really just dependent on what the small business owner is capable of providing at that given point in time. At PCV ourselves, we do annually collect information from small business owners who have participated in our business advising platform. So we're able to see, as you mentioned, demographic data, as well as some other financial trends with individuals who have implemented the toolkit. So we're starting to really gather that type of data.
Great. And it's like it was interesting when you had the baker, I can't remember, sorry, what her name was, but the baker's thing where you actually know how much she increased her sales, and that she reduced waste. I'm guessing you can put a dollar amount on that waste. And is that the kind of information you're collecting, or something else?
In general, it's a little bit more general than that right now, but definitely thinking about how we can continually put a more concrete business case for employers to look at, as we saw with the example of Batter Bakery.
Mm-hmm. And this is a relatively new initiative. Batter Bakery was part of our pilot program for Good Jobs, Good Business. So we did do qualitative as well as quantitative surveys and check-ins to get the improvements in the data. And to fall back on the previous question about what data we collect, yes, we do the annual impact survey with all of our small business owners, but since this is a new initiative, more data is to come for the Good Jobs, Good Business participants that'll be enrolling.
Great. Catherine has another question. Catherine's really interested in this. It's
Very
awesome. No, I mean, if it's going to help the bottom line, all our businesses need this. And if you could do good, but do better by doing good, right?
Right, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Quick, just technical question about, are your advisors contractors to Pacific Community Ventures, or is there a list provided to your employers so that they can contract with them outside of what you do?
So the advisors that enroll into our program, they sign on as a pro bono advisor. So there's no contract. We don't pay the advisor, and we don't charge the small business owner.
Okay, thanks.
If I understand, it's somewhat like a corporate mentoring program. You'll engage big businesses to be some of your advisors and things like that, and they can do volunteer hours. Isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. So the advisors that enroll into our program, they span all across the spectrum, whether they're retired and just looking to give back to their community. Maybe they're C-suite executives that want to share their expertise. And like you said, we do have some partnerships with various organizations like Google, for example, or Intuit, where they'll send their employees to our program so that they're able to volunteer.
Yeah. Cool. Catherine, do you have any more questions?
I'll think of something.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank Sanjana and Daniel from PCV for coming on and sharing about good jobs. And I mean, I think it'd be great if everybody keeps the good, doing better and doing good in mind in this times of crisis. I know it's really hard because everybody seems to be bleeding, but the ones who are going to come out of this on the other end are going to be those businesses that are thinking outside the box, that are thinking how to do things better. And, obviously that includes for their employees. So I know time is precious right now, so we're going to give everybody back 12 minutes of their day. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday afternoon. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay home.
Thank you, Heidi, and thank you, Cameo, for having Sanjana and I on. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you so much.
I am going to end the meeting now, so.